Hey, what's up guys? Austin here, back with part 2 of the Dry Try how-to series. In the previous video, we gave a general overview of the dry try, the general flow of how things are going to go, and now we're on to the first component of the dry try, and that is the 2,000 meter row. So 2,000 meters is a beast of a distance, and if you're performing a 2,000 meter max effort, that is one of the top fitness challenges you could ever do. But in the form of a dry try 2,000 meter row, we need to totally shift our mentality on how we approach this 2,000 meters. You see, rowing, when it comes to the effort you put in over the course of 2,000 meters, the risk to reward of the effort you put in and the time that you save is really like out of whack. Because rowing is only going to take about 6 to 10 minutes, somewhere in that range, only a very small chunk of the overall time of the dry try, we want to try to conserve as much energy as possible for the 2,000 meter row. And I'm just going to be straight up and honest with you. This is real talk right here. The 2,000 meter row should not be daunting, should not be very challenging whatsoever. If you finish your 2,000 meter row and you need to take a big break afterwards, you've really severely handicapped yourself for the 5K run later. You need to be able to finish the 2,000 meter row, pop out of the straps, and go right into the weight floor exercises. You need to think of this as more of a base, steady, chillin' 2,000 meters. Because the effort difference between, let's say, a 7-minute 2,000 meters and an 8-minute 2,000 meter row, that's only 60 seconds of difference. Again, in the grand scheme of the entire dry try, that's not a lot of time. But the effort that's required to go a 7-minute 2,000 meter compared to an 8-minute is so drastic, it is going to severely slow you down for the 5K, which is going to be taking up the majority of the time. You're going to cost yourself multiple minutes off of your 5K run by pushing too hard on the 2,000 meter row. So you have to convince yourself with all the hype, all the energy of like, let's do this dry try. You gotta stay calm. You gotta slow yourself down and think of the 2,000 meter row almost as a warm-up for everything else. So the idea with our rowing is to really focus on just being long, steady, and efficient. Think of the rowing strokes here that you're taking as almost repetitions themselves. Just taking things one rep at a time, focusing on keeping a nice tilt forward in the hips, a lean forward with the body, the arms extended out, a nice drive back, and a controlled return up. Very calm, very controlled, and it's just a time sink. You're just going until that screen says 0. There is no sort of crazy, get after it effort. Trust me, you'll be paying for that on the treadmill if you go too hard. So if you've done a 2,000 meter row in the past as a max effort, my tip for you is to add about a minute to whatever your best 2,000 meter is. So if your best 2,000 meter, a true max effort 2,000 meter was 7 minutes and 30 seconds, for example, I would say your dry try 2,000 meters should be around an 8-minute 30 seconds. And by going that minute slower, you're going to be saving your legs and saving your fitness for the 5K run, which is going to be the biggest time sink out of all the different stations. So when you finish that last stroke of the 2,000 meter row, you need to finish, set the handle down, unclip your feet, pop out, take a couple breaths, and head on over to the weight stations. Do not make this row overwhelming. I cannot stress it enough. This should just be sort of a warm-up for everything else. Nice and steady, nice and smooth base effort. Pop off and head to the weight floor. That's my tips for the row. And now that we've covered that, in our next video, we'll be talking about the weight floor strategies to get yourself to the weight floor as efficiently as possible. So join me as we head to the weight floor.